that literally.
He's like, I didn't mean that.
What's the first one? Give us a brief introduction of yourself, your name, where you're from, and how you got here and what you do. My name is Keiko Devaux. I'm from Nelson, British Columbia, and I moved to Montreal 10 years ago to play in a rock band, and I am a composer. Concise enough. Amongst other things.
What did you play in rock bands?
Piano at the beginning, synthesizers, anything that looked like a piano, some percussion, marimba, organ, things like that. Backup vocals. Shaker. Cowbell? No, not cowbell. Okay. C'est quoi ton parcours musical? Well, that. J'ai commencé... Quand j'étais jeune, j'ai joué le piano classique comme beaucoup de monde depuis l'âge 5. Après, j'ai étudié en musique jazz, plus musique populaire dans pas un cégep, mais un college à Nelson. Après, j'ai joué dans 2 groupes plus populaires comme post-rock, prog rock et un groupe plus indie rock. Et après, j'ai décidé que je voulais composer plus, donc j'ai recommencé mes études à l'Université de Montréal en écriture, puis après, j'ai continué et j'ai fait une maîtrise en composition, et maintenant je suis au début de mon doc. What led you to new composition? To new music composition? Oh, that's actually a really hard question. I think I've just... I don't know, I don't really feel like I'm doing something that's completely different, even though I know I am from what I was doing before. But I know playing in popular music groups can sometimes be a bit fatiguing because you tour and you play the same set list. And I know that for most people, even though if you enjoy touring, you really miss the creative stages, which don't last very long, of like writing in a collective, recording in a studio. All that concept and design was, for me, the best part. And so for me, turning to composition, for starters, before we talk about the whole new music aspect, was important because that was the thing I enjoyed the most. Performance was really fun, and being in a group and touring and traveling and meeting people was always fun, but I really liked creating. So focusing on composition as opposed to just performing and composing in a band was a way for me to focus on what I enjoyed the most. And then the new music, it was just because, sometimes playing keyboards in a rock band can be a little bit flat, and it was just a way for me to explore more interesting things that I listened to at the time. Yeah.
How would you describe the ways that you like to work, and like in what kind of collaborative or solo context?
I think, I was going to say like many, but actually I don't know this. I really enjoy working with musicians, like the people I'm writing for. It's just in reality, it becomes more difficult. A lot of what I'm focusing on in my compositions are meant for larger ensembles, often, not always, but often. So the majority of my recent compositions have been for larger ensembles, which, for obvious reasons, I can't sit with and take all their time and work with them, so I have to be a lot more efficient. But when I'm working with a trio, like I am for this show, I will make myself available as much as possible, because for me it's like what you hand to the musicians at the deadline. Ideally for me, it's just like always the first sketch, and then they work with it. You listen, you react, you discuss. I mean, they're the experts, and so it feels. For me, it's just, I know I'll never be an expert of any of those instruments, no matter how much I compose and no matter how much I spend time writing for them. So I would prefer to dialogue with who I'm writing for, and also have it be something that means something to them. Like and you can always feel it when you go to a show and the musicians are really into the piece. It makes a big difference, So collaborative is definitely ideal, but it's not always realistic. Parle-nous de ta pièce. Donc, la pièce que j'ai écrite... pour le trio, avec Louis-Philippe Oren et David Terrien-Brongo et Kimihiro Yasaka. J'espère que j'ai prononcé tous les noms propres. Le titre est kintsukuroi. Ça, c'est un nom en japonais qui veut dire de réparer avec l'or. C'est un métier, une philosophie. Quand les céramiques sont brisées, quand on repère ça avec l'or pour souligner, pour embrasser des imperfections, des choses, des choses défectueuses, qui sont vraiment pas défectueuses, mais... Donc, c'est un métier pour vraiment mettre en valeur les objets qui ont une histoire au lieu de comme remplacer. Bon, bref. Donc, ça, c'est le thème, ça, c'est le titre. Et moi, j'ai comme une collection de bols qui viennent de Japon, Tibet et en Inde. En Inde. Puis, j'ai toujours voulu composer une pièce avec ces bols, mais j'ai trouvé c'était toujours vraiment comme difficile de contrôler le son, comme si on joue avec un archet, si on joue avec des maillons en feutre. C'est toujours le son change, les spectres changent. Et j'étais comme, ça marche pas, je peux pas contrôler le son. Et j'étais comme, peut-être ça c'est l'idée. Donc j'ai comme mis ces objets avec ce thème, puis ça marchait parfaitement. Donc l'idée c'est, on commence avec les bols. En fait, les 3 musiciens qui jouent sax, piano et percus vont jouer juste les bols au début pour comme présenter ces objets. Puis dans la pièce, on va briser les objets. Et quand j'ai dit briser, on va briser les spectres des objets, mais avec les instruments de les musiciens. Puis après, on va réparer, on va reconstruire les sons, on va reconstruire les objets avec les instruments. Et avec cette pièce, il y a vraiment des moments de silence extrêmement importants et c'est légèrement théâtral aussi. Donc, on va voir, j'ai hâte.
Cool.
What can the audience expect on Friday the 11th? I would say a piece that has a lot of breath in it, and where silence is really important, and the beginnings and endings of sounds are really important. Yes. And 3 handsome musicians on stage. Si possible, d'écrire ta pièce en 5 mots. Or. Non. Les imperfections. Respiration. Silence. Fragilité. Et les attaques. Do you have a writing ritual? If yes, do you mind sharing it with us? I think the writing ritual that I probably talk about the most, there's 2. One, I write on the floor. I like seeing everything at the same time. A lot of composers do, and so I splay my sheets out, and I often will lie on my stomach or kneel. It's really not great for the back, but I like being on the floor. I like everything being just out and visual. No matter how big of a desk I buy myself, I will always write on the floor. And then when I'm in the beginning stages of doing sketches and like placing things out on the score paper, on la partition, I will tape it to the wall often, and so that I can follow it like a timeline. Those are two things that I always do. Like I compose on the floor. It's like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me when I was a teenager and I would get really into a project, or I'd be cramming to finish a project last minute. And I had my room was in the basement, and I always did homework on the floor. And my mom would always come in and get really angry at me, but like, it's so bad for your back, and use your desk, and da 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 da. But I would always be on the floor, and it was just a way for me to concentrate. I don't know. It also feels like more like personal, like more emotional. Like at a desk, then you're really like, I'm working.
Yeah.
You know, and I do a lot of research at the desk. I'll like look and watch videos and play sound clips and stuff like at the desk. I'm not gonna bring my laptop on the floor. But like when I'm actually like in the midst of doing the actual creative work, yeah, on the floor.